Welcome students. Today we are going to start topic number 1.6 Coulomb's law. Now students, earlier we have seen in 11th standard about universal law of gravitation given by Newton. In universal law of gravitation we have studied that if two masses are given m1 and m2, and if they are separated by some distance r, then the force acting between that two masses is directly proportional to their product, and it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. So this is about universal law of gravitation given by Newton. Similarly, in Coulomb's law, there are two charged particles Q1 and Q2. They are separated by some distance, say r. So here also force act between these two charged particles, and it is proportional to the product of the charges Q1 into Q2 and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Coulomb's law states that the force between the 2-point charges is directly proportional to the product of the magnitude of charges, and it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two charges. And when we remove that proportionality sign, we get a constant k. So we can state Coulomb's law mathematically in this way: F is equal to k Q1 into Q2 upon r square. Here constant k is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, where this epsilon naught is called the permittivity of free space. It means if there is nothing between the two charged particles, here you can see there are two charged particles and here there is a free space. So if there is nothing, that is we can say vacuum, between the two charged particles, then the permittivity is epsilon naught. Value of k is 9 into 10 raised to 9 Newton meter square per Coulomb square, while the value of permittivity of free space, that is epsilon naught, is 8.85 into 10 raised to minus 12 Newton inverse meter square inverse Coulomb square. Now let us see Coulomb's law in vector form. Students, we know that force is a vector quantity, and if the force acts between the two charged particles Q1 and Q2, then that force can be repulsive or that force can be attractive. If there are like charges, that means if both Q1 and Q2 they are positive, then they will repel each other, as well as if both these charges are negative, then also they will repel each other. And if one of the charged particle is positive and the other is negative, then the force between them is attractive. So here direction of force is very important, and so the Coulomb's law in vector form is very important. Students, whenever you find bold letters, see here F is bold, here this R is bold, this bold letter represent vector form. Means here this bold F is nothing but it is vector F. Here this bold R is nothing but it is vector R. So whenever you write this theory in your notebook, you have to represent bold letters by vector sign. As shown in figure, consider two charged particles Q1 and Q2. Force acting on charged particle Q1 is due to Q2, as well as force acting on charged particle Q2 is due to Q1. Here we will consider the force acting on charged particle Q1, that is given by F12, means force is acting on charge Q1 due to Q2. Now let us consider a reference point O, that is origin. Position of charged particle Q1 is given by this position vector R1, and position of charged particle Q2 is given by position vector R2. So now let us find the force acting on charge Q2 due to charge Q1, and that is represented by F21, force on 2 due to 1. Now the mathematical relation is given by F21 is equal to K, which is constant and its value is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, into Q1 Q2 upon R square. So here this is nothing but the magnitude of the force. This much part represent magnitude, but here this force is in a vector form, and hence we have to show the direction also. So for direction we have used a unit vector R21. Any unit vector can be represented by vector divided by its magnitude. So here also this unit vector R21 is equal to vector R21 divided by its magnitude. Again, this vector R21 can be mathematically written as R21 is equal to R2 minus R1. This we can easily understand with the help of figure. Now see here, in this figure we are finding the force acting on this second charge particle, and the direction of force is this. So now vector R21, which shows the position from 1 towards 2. So here this 2 is a final position and 1 is a initial position. Final position 2 is represented by this vector R2, which is a position vector, and initial position is shown by position vector R1. As a result, vector R21 is represented as position vector R2 minus position vector R1, that is final position minus initial position. So we can say that vector R21 is a vector leading from 1 towards 2. Equation 1, that is this, is for like charges, and so the direction of the force is given by unit vector R21. Now if the charged particles are unlike, That is, if one is positive and the other is negative, then the force acting between these two charged particles will be attractive. So, in this case, the force acting on the second charged particle will be towards 1. And so, in this case, what will happen? The direction will be opposite. Earlier it was unit vector r21, and now it is opposite of vector r21, and so here negative sign is given. So here we have obtained force acting on the second charge particle due to first charge particle. Similarly, we can also find the equation of force acting on the first charge particle due to second charge particle, and that is represented by F12, that is force on 1 by 2. So this can be given as F12 is equal to K, that is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, into product of the charges Q1 into Q2 upon distance between the charged particles, that is r square, but the difference is unit vector r12, because here the direction of force is from 2 to 1. So finally, if we'll compare these two equations, that is force on 1 by 2 and force on 2 by 1, we can find that two forces are opposite of each other. You can see here force on 1 by 2 is equal to force on 2 by 1, but there is a negative sign. Also, from the figure you can find it that the direction is opposite. This force on 2 is towards this direction and the force on 1 is towards this direction, and hence due to this opposite sign there is a negative. So finally we can say that the magnitude of the forces, remember magnitude, that is force on 1 by 2 will be equal to force on 2 by 1. We can write like this, that force on 1 by 2 is equal to force on 2 by 1 in terms of magnitude. There is no negative sign, but if we put a vector sign, then we have to show the direction, and due to direction there is a negative sign. So we can say that the Coulomb's law agrees with the Newton's third law, means the force between the two bodies are always equal in magnitude, but the direction of this force is opposite to each other. Now let us start example number 1.4. Here we have to compare the force acting between the two charged particles. Now the particles, they are having charge also and the mass also. The force acting between the particles due to charge is electrostatic force given by Coulomb, and the force acting between the particles due to their masses is a gravitational force given by Newton. Here the common thing between both the force is that both are inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them, hence both are inverse square dependent. So first we will compare the strength of these forces, and then we will find the acceleration of electron and proton due to the force acting between them. Here mass of electron as well as mass of proton is given. So now about solution of this example. First we will write the given conditions. Here mass of electron is given, so we have mentioned it. Even mass of proton is given. Charge of an electron or a proton is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19, as well as value of K is 9 into 10 raised to 9. Distance between these two particles is 1 angstrom, that is also given. So these all are given conditions. Now two charged particle Q1 and Q2, they are having masses m1 and m2 and the distance between them is r. Here first of all we have considered charge Q1 is nothing but it is an electron and charge Q2 is nothing but it is a proton. Hence if we will consider the charges on the particle, then the electric force acting Fe is equal to K Q1 into Q2 upon R square according to Coulomb's law. And if we consider the masses of this particle, then the gravitational force Fg is given by G m1 into m2 upon R square. So equation 1 is a Coulombian force due to charge and equation 2 is a gravitational force due to masses. Now we have to compare these two forces. So to compare we have to take the ratio of equation 1 and 2. From equation 1 Fe upon from equation 2 Fg. So to compare we have to take the ratio and so we will get this equation. Here common thing in both this equation is R square, here also and here also. So when we take the ratio of these two forces, this R square will cancel out and the remaining will be this. Now here the charges Q1 and Q2 is nothing but E, because charge on an electron and the charge on a proton is same, and so here E into E, that is E square. So K E square upon G, mass of first particle that is electron, so it is Me, and mass of second particle M2 is nothing but the mass of the proton, because we have considered one electron and one proton. Now next part is simply you have to put the values. This is value of K, this is value of E, this is value of G, this is value of mass of electron, and this is value of mass of proton. So putting all these values which are given and calculating with the help of calculator, we get this answer. So now you can see the ratio of Fe upon Fg is obtained to be 2.27 into 10 raised to 39. So as this ratio is very much large, we can say that the electric force between these two particles is very much larger than the gravitational force. So here in this first part we have considered the two charged particles, one electron and the other proton. Now in this second part Again we are going to find the ratio between the electric force and the gravitational force. But now here we are considering both the particles as protons, which was earlier electron and a proton. See here, one was electron and the other was proton. Now both these are protons, and so here mp into mp becomes mp square. So you can see here the difference is mp square. Rest of the things will remain same. Again, simply putting the given values, we get this answer. Method will be same, similar type of calculation. Only in place of mass of electron, you have to put a mass of proton. See here, you have kept mass of electron earlier. Now this will be mass of proton, that is this only. And so we will get this answer, 1.24 into 10 raised to 36. Again, the electric force is greater than the gravitational force because here this value is larger than 1. If this value is smaller than 1, then we can say that the gravitational force will be larger. But here you can see the power is very much larger and it is positive, and so the value is quite large. So electric force will be greater than the gravitational force. In part B, we are going to find the acceleration of electron as well as proton. See here, one particle is considered electron and the other particle is considered proton, and due to force between them, both will move towards each other. There will be attraction between an electron and a proton, so both will move, but the acceleration between them will be different because the mass of electron and the mass of proton are different. So now, using Coulomb's formula, we get Fe is equal to K Q1 into Q2. Charge of an electron Q1 and charge of proton is Q2, but as both have same charge, there is a square, and distance between them r square, so it is this. R is 1 angstrom and 1 angstrom is 10 raised to minus 10, so r square. After calculation, we will get the force between this electron and a proton as 2.3 into 10 raised to minus 8 Newton. Now, according to Newton's law, force F is equal to ma. Now we are going to find the acceleration of electron first and then the acceleration of proton. So first, as we are going to find the acceleration of electron, here we have considered mass of electron. Force we have already calculated, and so unknown is acceleration. So making the subject A, we get above equation as Fe upon me. Now this Fe already we have calculated here, and mass of electron is given. So after calculation, we get the acceleration of electron as 2.5 into 10 raised to 22 meter per second square. Similarly, now if we want to find the acceleration of proton, then in place of mass of electron, now we are going to put mass of proton, because we are supposed to find the acceleration of proton, so mass will be of proton, and hence putting the value of mass of proton in place of mass of electron, if we put the mass of proton here, then we will get the acceleration of proton, which is equal to 1.4 into 10 raised to 19 meter per second square. Now let us compare this acceleration. Acceleration of electron is obtained to be 2.5 into 10 raised to 22 meter per second square, while the acceleration of proton is obtained to be 1.4 into 10 raised to 19. Just compare the powers. Here the power is 19 and here the power is 22. As the mass of electron is very less compared to the mass of proton, the acceleration of electron will be larger compared to that of a proton. Here the power is 22, which shows that it is quite large than the power 19. Now let us see example number 1.5. From the given condition, we can now let us see example number 1.5. From the given condition, now let us see example number 1.5. From the given condition, we can show this figure. Here there are two charged particles QA and QB, which are separated by distance r, which is 10 cm. As these are the charged particle, force will act between them, which is given by F is equal to K Q1 into Q2 upon R square. Here Q1 is nothing but charge on sphere A and Q2 is charge on sphere B, and R is a distance between them, which is 10 cm. Now the next process done is an identical sphere C is brought in contact with sphere A. See here, this sphere C is brought in contact with A. Sphere C is identical to sphere A. In this case, what will happen? The total charge will become half of the earlier. Initial, here the charge is Q1. Now, if this sphere C is made in contact with A and then it is removed, then the charge on A will be half of the earlier. Similarly, an identical sphere D is brought in contact with B. Here this sphere D and B both are identical. Sphere D is made in contact with B. The charge of B will become half of the earlier. So next process will be like this. Now the charge on A will be half of Q1, that is Q1 by 2, and the charge on B will be half of Q2, that is Q2 by 2, and so again the force will act between them. Here the distance between these two spheres is made half of the earlier. Earlier it was 10 cm, now it is 5 cm. So again the Coulombian force will act between them. Let us call that force is F dash. Now finally proper solution of example 1.5. Initially sphere A and B, they are given. Charge on sphere A is indicated by Q1 and charge on sphere B is indicated by Q2. These two spheres are separated by distance r, which is 10 cm. So the force acting between these two charged particles is given by F is equal to K, which is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 into Q2 upon R square. This is nothing but the Coulomb's formula. Now, after the contact process, the charge on sphere A becomes half of initial and charge on sphere B becomes half of its initial. That is, now the charge on A is Q1 by 2 and that on B is Q2 by 2. And the distance between these two spheres is reduced to half of the initial, which is R by 2. Hence, now the new force acting between these two spheres A and B is given by F dash is equal to value of K, that is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, into new charge on sphere A, which is Q1 by 2, into new charge on sphere B, which is Q2 by 2, upon distance between these two spheres, which is now R by 2 square. After simplification, you will get the new force F dash is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 into Q2 upon R square, which is nothing but the force we obtained earlier. So this example shows that if the charge on the spheres as well as the distance between them is reduced to half of the initial, then the force between the two spheres remains unchanged. This you can see here, that the new force is equal to the initial force. So you can compare equation number 1 and this final obtained equation after reducing the charge and the distance by half.